Hey there, geeks! We are back with another Wizards Wednesday Rewind. We hit the shops this week, and we are ready to talk about what we walked away with, what you voted for, what you wanted us to read, and maybe a little extra as well. So, Mike, the big news,
This is what was voted for, so everyone knows.
so just so you're aware, that's what we were there to seek for. So there was Frankenstein offered up there. There was this there were some others. There was a Deadpool book, there was a Moon Knight book. But you guys wanted Frankenstein and you wanted, yes, the 0 Hour 30th anniversary special. Now look, they got a wraparound cover on this thing.
It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it is beautiful. You got that, nice spine on there. I was super excited when I heard about this, Mike. For those who don't remember, I mean, 0 Hour was very, very hyped in 1994. There were these samplers, they were, preview issues that they were giving away in the shops, all these tie-in issues they were trying to get you to buy, right? And then when it finally came in, the gimmick, right, was that it
Yeah.
counted down four, three, two, one. Oh no, the universe is disappearing. Ah, so then this was the only omission. I'm just gonna say this right up front in the reading. I was disappointed. Fate. Jared Stevens' Fate. I was certain he was gonna make an appearance. Because that's what they did was they launched all these zero issues after
Yeah.
0 Hour hit so that people could learn about some of the newer characters and the new status quo for the old
Only
characters.
only you are upset that Fate did not make it in.
I got
There
a
was
full
an
run of that too, Mike.
we'll get into it, but there is one character in here that I presume you were very excited by his appearance.
Yep, yep, I
Okay.
know. Yeah, definitely. And I will say this as well. Wizard got in on the hype with this very bizarre,
Wow.
terribly designed special beyond 0 Hour, but it did have an Alex Ross cover. But that's one of the worst looking
Okay.
covers they ever did. But I want to send one more shout out to our friends at the Dollar Bin Bandits podcast. This week, they're doing it right over there. They're talking to Ron Mars and Dan Jurgens, who are the people who wrote this, getting all the behind the scenes details then and now for how this came together. So if you want those, grab it. But Mike, upon reading this, I am curious, what were your thoughts and had you read 0 Hour previously?
I read 0 Hour in the early 2000s when I was getting into DC, but never picked it up again. So my memory's fuzzy. Like it was like, okay, Parallax, he's crazy, yada yada yada. I'm more of a Crisis on Infinite Earths kind of guy. Um, so I wasn't looking forward to this.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was kind of like I didn't even know what it was. I was like, it's a reprints. What is it? I was blown away, Adam. I
Yes.
loved every page of it. Was pure perfection. It reminded me of the early 2000s reading DC. It's a who's who of 90s comic book artists first of all, and the art is unbelievable. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
let's just name some of them. So we got
yeah,
Daryl Banks, we got Kelly
Kelly
Jones, we got
Jones,
Howard Porter, Jerry Ordway, Dan Jurgens, Tom
Tom Gurman.
Grummett. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody is in here who was drawing the mainline DC books at the time, and you're just like, I can't believe it. Plus, the Dan Jurgens, Ron Mars connection, bringing it back, and that's what it is, right? You look at this, and you turn the pages, and you're just like, I'm back in 1994. And that's what it kind of was a little jarring to me because we've been doing this podcast for a while, for almost 5 years now. And I've been living in the world of 90s comics. And now that you've gotten me buying new comics, the contrast in the storytelling style, in the art style between what was happening in the 90s and this is so vast that I was just like, no, no, this is what it should be. This is what comics are, right? Like, because all the new stuff is what's strange. But I was like, no, this is the outlier now. This is not how comics are done anymore. And maybe
Well,
they
the
should
look. Are you talking look or storytelling?
both.
Okay, interesting.
I mean,
Yeah,
multiverse is all over the place, and this is technically a multiverse story, but they're just picking up on what they did originally. We should set that up, is that it's taking place in kind of a pocket universe. They
yeah,
explain that when Parallax was trying to basically destroy the universe so that he could rebuild it and make it perfect and bring back Coast City and do everything he was going to do. Uh, Even though they stopped him, apparently they say there was like this shadow universe he was able to create where his vision for what he would have done was preserved, but he's using all his power because Parallax has the power battery from Oa, right? He has all that energy. So he's been using that to keep this reality as he wants it alive, but now it's dying. And Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, it says this takes place before Green Lantern number 8. So this is set in the 90s continuity.
No, no. This is Green Lantern number 8 current.
Oh, really? Oh, current.
Current. Adam, I'm gonna say 99% positive it's current. So I've been reading the Jeremy Adams run of Green Lantern, but I have been picking it up but not reading it since issue 5. So I have a feeling Parallax is coming back.
Oh,
Back. Yeah, like
well, yeah, we
that's the
get a
big
teaser
ending.
for that. Yeah, at the
But
end.
that's it's going into the I think they're on like issue 12 now. Like I'm like I have to my comics are all kind of in storage. That's why I haven't really been I've been picking up books and throwing them in storage. I'm moving back into my house. Long story nobody needs to hear about. But I'm now like I need to pick up that run and start reading it like immediately.
Well, so my question is, in what you flipped through at least and seen, is Kyle Rayner in his 90s costume in that Green Lantern continuity?
No, because it's a Hal Jordan book. So I'm
Yeah.
like really confused. I don't think he's in that costume, but I'm pretty sure that this is connected.
Oh,
We'll
wow.
have to someone's gonna correct us and they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, Mike's an idiot, get him off the show. But I'm pretty sure it's volume 7, issue 8.
Yeah, well, and let's just talk about some of the highlights for us here. I mean, for me, seeing Tom Grummett back drawing, he
Yeah, it's
always did it
great.
for me in the 90s. He was fantastic. He still got it. But like the redesigns on some of these characters, like this Supergirl in the black costume is so awesome. And in this pocket universe, Superman never came back from the dead. Bruce Wayne got his back broken and never recovered. He just gave up being Batman.
That
Yep.
was my favorite. The bat wheelchair. It's why does it have this? I love it. It doesn't need it. Why does he have this? Doesn't need
Yeah, but so you get all that, Batgirl is in it, and now they don't explain what happened, but apparently Wonder Girl, Donna Troy is now Wonder Woman officially. And I don't know if that's because at this time there was a period where Wonder Woman died and Hippolyta took over. Her mother was Wonder Woman in the JLA books, so maybe it's during, but that was later, so I don't know. But anyway, so that was interesting, I thought. How they mixed all that up. And then, yeah, the whole point is that Kyle is trying to convince them, hey, your universe wasn't even supposed to exist. So you need to let it go and save our multiverse. And eventually they release what's his face? Is it Wave Rider? That's his name, right?
yeah,
Like
Wave Rider. He's been
yeah,
trapped. Yeah.
yeah, and so they release him, and he's kind of coming. He's like, I know all, time. I know everything that's ever happened, and you must let your universe die. And that's the whole thing. Parallax is like, no, if you support Kyle Rayner, he's gonna destroy your universe. Is that what you want? It's this kind of philosophical battle. What is right? What is wrong? Is it okay to let your universe die? And all this stuff. I was like, wow. Um, the only thing I will say is
Okay.
that yes, they brought back a lot of the classic artists. The art, it looks like it's from the 90s. The only, and maybe I just wasn't reading enough of his books at the time, but you cannot uh misread a Kelly Jones panel. Like it's Kelly Jones doing the art when it's this cape, but I don't know what is going on with the proportions in this. Like it is bizarre. And maybe I'm just not as familiar as I thought I was, but I that the Kelly Jones pages really threw me off, as did the Howard Porter. But that's just personal preference. I never liked Howard Porter on JLA or any of that. And his style has changed significantly. This doesn't look like his 90s stuff, but I don't like his new style either. So those were the two sections where I was like, nah, I'm not enjoying this, but it'll be
I
over soon.
I think Howard Porter is an acquired taste. I would definitely agree with you, but I really like his art. I don't know if I like and I love the Kelly Jones stuff. To me, that does feel like Kelly Jones.
Okay, so that's what he was always doing. All right. And
Yeah, it feels kind of. It's just printed on different paper now.
also, yeah,
Yeah,
just the quality when you don't have just the actual old paper stock.
and we should mention it's all colors by Alex Sinclair, who does I believe a lot of Jim Lee's art
Oh,
as
okay.
well. So it's you know
But yeah, you mentioned one character that I was excited to see, and that was definitely when the Ray shows up. The
yes.
Ray is there, and he's got a nice, few panels to himself, basically, where he's fighting Kyle. So that was cool. But I mean, just again, look at these. They have great like pinup pages. Even
At
in
the
the very
back,
back, they
yeah.
have official pinup pages. This one was my favorite.
The
That
Nicholas
was
Scott.
so
I
cool.
I like the Tony Harris Starman one. That's the one that got me. This is great too of Batman, looking up.
Yeah, he's like, my buddy's dead. I'm in a wheelchair. Just like giving you
Yeah.
that essence.
But we
But
should
oh yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say we should bring up the final page.
Yeah,
So the final page is the like what is he, a demon, parallax demon, the creature that was possessing Hal Jordan is finally free, and it says only the beginning. So this is why I assumed it's continuing into the ongoing Green Lantern series that Jeremy Adams is writing. And I
yeah.
I only did just start that series, but it was fantastic. It was just a matter of timing. I haven't had a chance to pick it up again, but I'm in now. I'll tell you that much, Adam.
Yeah, it's a great primer. If that's where it's headed, I might be interested as well. I just gotta say, look, the price was high on this book, but it delivered. Like this is one of those things where it didn't feel like a ripoff. It didn't feel like, oh man, I can't believe I spent $10 on this, more in Canada for you, right? It's just like, no, I would reread this, and it's a great companion to my other 0 Hour issues I was showing off. So that was very fun. But Mike, gotta talk to you about Frankenstein. My shop did not have it. I could not find a copy of it. Tell me about this, because when you explained the premise to me, I was like, that's pretty awesome.
I explained it to you. I don't even remember explaining it to
You did. I was
you.
messaging you. I'm like, well, what's it about?
Okay, Adam, this may be one of my favorite single issues or new series of the year.
Wow.
This was perfection. So Michael Walsh does the writing and the art and the cover. And it's so good. I can and so it's retelling the Frankenstein story, but from the perspective of a child whose father died, and Dr. Frankenstein is coming to dig up body parts, fresh body parts, and they take his father's body parts. So this child is basically, we're following the Frankenstein movie, like the Universal one, through the eyes of this child that we didn't know was there. And it is so well done. It is so horrifying. It's perfect. Like I cannot tell you how sad I am that you couldn't grab it.
I know. I am bummed. I was just like, Halloween's coming up. Why are you guys not stocking this? Maybe they'll order it now and they'll get it in for next month or something.
It's just so good. The art, everything. Like look at this spread.
Ooh.
It just I don't I don't know what else to say. I'm just like I cannot wait to read the other ones. So I picked up Dracula. I thought it was okay. The artwork was amazing in Dracula. It's all painted pages. But I couldn't. It didn't. I've never been a huge fan of the Universal Dracula movie, and I didn't feel like the comic was doing anything for me. And I still have not read the Creature from the Black Lagoon comic. I have it. It's one of those other comics that's sitting packed away right now, but I'll pull it out. Uh, Frankenstein is so good. Everyone should try
Well,
issue
for
one.
people who want to order it, who's the publisher on this?
It's Image.
Oh, it's through Image?
It's
Oh,
it's it's Skybound in Image. So
okay.
it's an Image book, but Skybound their imprint is under
Hmm.
Image Comics, yeah.
Yeah,
So
again, I'm surprised my shop didn't order it then because they have a whole image section, that,
yeah, it's
huh.
Robert Kirkman's company, the company that's doing like all the Transformers and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But my God, like that's the opening pages, this poor child just wanting his dead father back. And then okay, so I'm just gonna spoil a little. He's like, sneaking around. Frankenstein has been created. And he's like, I need to break him out or whatever. I need to help him. He hates the doctor. He wants to kill him. He thinks he's a bad man. And he's going to kill the doctor at the end. And then it's not Igor. What's his name in the movie? I always forget that he's not called
Fritz,
Igor.
right?
Fritz, yeah, that's what his name. He captures the child.
Ooh.
So it's still telling the story from this child's perspective. Like we're unaware as the viewer watching Universal that this could have been happening behind the scenes. It's really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, hopefully I can at least pick up the trade someday. It sounds like a fun read. So here's my deal.
Okay.
Couldn't get my hands on that. I had to grab some other things. When I was looking over the list for what we wanted people to vote on, there were some books that jumped out at me, but I don't know that they fell into what we thought everybody was going to vote for. But something I've been hearing about for a while is Ben Riley's been back in the Marvel Universe for a while. Kaine has been back in the Marvel Universe for a while. The Spider clones are around with different personas, and I've never dared to even like jump into those waters. But then I saw this Chasm, Curse
Yeah,
of
that's
Kaine, right? And I was like, this just sounds cool. And I read the synopsis. I was like, maybe I want to understand what this is. And boy, have things changed. Wow. I had no idea what was going on here. Because so Ben Riley is now Chasm.
yeah.
He's basically a bad guy, and he's teamed up with Hallows Eve, right? So he's with this girl who's basically, I don't know. I saw her action figure recently, and I was like, she looks like a female hobgoblin, sort of. But
But
in
she's
this,
awesome. She puts on different masks and has different powers. Yeah, I
right, and in
love.
this one, she turns into Frankenstein, so it,
Oh,
it
no
ties
way.
in perfectly. But the funniest thing is that like they show up, and I don't know if this is always what they do, but they're saving these kids that are being attacked by underground mutants, and they charge them. They're like, "Give us your credit cards, give us your wallet." They're like, "Wait, you charge to save people?" Yeah, that's what we do. And that's what they do. Like, so they're taking their money in order to agree to save their lives. And like I was like, that's an awesome premise if that's what the book is about. And then you see Kaine is now Scarlet Spider, and he's like a lot of internal monologue about like my relationship with Ben. Am I my brother's keeper? Kaine, all of that kind of stuff, right? And he's like, and I gotta guide him back on the right path because everything always goes bad for Ben, but everything seems to be working out for me. And so that was interesting. But then it got into where Ben Riley has been. Like he was like in some hell dimension, and there's all this mysticism. He got possessed, but he's like free of
Weird.
it, and he gave up his Peter Parker memories to become just Ben Riley. He's like, I'm just myself now. I'm not tied to any Peter Parker, like whatever he was, I'm not that. So now he's like a new entity. And I was like, that's an interesting premise. But then it's really leading into like, oh, there's going to be this like otherworldly element. I don't like supernatural in my superhero comics, really. So that's why I would not pick up a second issue because I see where it's going. I'm
They
just
call that too much mumbo jumbo.
yeah, exactly. It just went a little too far for me. But I thought that the Hallows Eve and Ben relationship was pretty cool, and I liked catching up at least. So, have you been following any of that Spider-Man stuff?
I I jumped into Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's Amazing Spider-Man when Chasm became Chasm,
Okay.
but that's as far as I got. Yeah.
Yeah, and the writing was fine. Like the writing was fine. The art was kind of standard Marvel art these days. So nothing really jumped out at me like this is amazing, but it was not something I hated reading. I wasn't mad. I was just like, this is cool. Okay, I know what's going on now. What I really enjoyed that was this. This is a book that I had heard about for a while, and then I just ignored, and now I'm mad at myself for ignoring it. And that is Batman Dark Age.
Oh,
So this is the follow-up to that like Superman like Man of Tomorrow, whatever it was that Mike Allred and was it Mark Russell? Yeah, Mark Russell did. I guess they won like they're at least nominated for an Eisner Award at some point. So
Okay.
this is like an alternate reality Batman story where like things are tweaked. Like for whatever reason, Bruce Wayne was not there when his parents were murdered, but he still becomes Batman. But before he becomes Batman, he's like a troublemaker. He ends up in jail. Like like all these things. Like there's just a lot of other machinations behind the scene that are not part of the standard story. But what's happening in this one, like that was cool. The reason I got it is just like that's Batman and Robin together. This is just an awesome cover. And it's Mike Allred art, who I love. I just generally don't like him when he's not writing his own stories. I like his stuff. But
Yeah.
there's just great character redesigns here. But like here's just some great art right there when you see the Batman costume.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome.
which is pretty cool. But there's so many different Batman costumes. Like I'll just show on the back cover here. He has like an asbestos costume, like to fight against fire. So he and Robin both have these. Like every character gets a new look, including like Catwoman is in this, which is really cool. But yeah, it's what I liked most about it. Like the writing is fantastic, but the writing style, the dialogue is great, and the thought, the thought narration, it gets like semi-philosophical. It references things like my father always taught me this, and then I learned this on the streets. Or like, this ancient philosopher suggested this was a concept, but it it makes me feel smart when I'm sure it was just like stuff you learn in college, but like but reading it you feel like you're learning some new points of view. But most of all, like again, this was a $6 book. It's not cheap,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
you feel like you're getting your money's worth. I mean, there's a lot of pages in this, and it's all the story. And I didn't
Okay.
feel ripped off. I didn't feel like, even though it's issue 5, that I was missing something. Like it's
Oh,
still,
you jumped into it. I didn't realize it was issue 5.
yeah,
You jumped in that late.
yeah.
The,
This is
the
book 5. So, and I think there's, I don't know, maybe there's 6,
You're
maybe
gonna
there's
have to
more
go
coming.
back. So I feel like I'm noticing a trend. Like it's clearly been a trend for years, but these Elseworld tales we tend to like, and I'm guessing they sell well because they keep making them. But it's like, how many different interpretations of Batman are they gonna do? Like,
Well, that's the thing. It feels like everything now is just a creative team comes together. Here's our story. These characters are so old. Just let us tell our version of it because it feels like
yeah.
everything is an alternate
But
reality
it's
story
not
now.
just it's an Elseworlds. Like it's not just their version. It's like, what if I made Batman become Batman when he was 6? Like just come up with crazy ideas. What if Batman was bitten by a bat and became a bat and
Yeah.
then he killed his parent? Like there's so many different interpretations, and I feel like we're never going to see that. That is forever going to be a comic book thing.
Yeah, I think that's just what it is now. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, we'll play in the world, but I still wish that somebody would tell us this is going to be an Elseworlds tale because that's not really a thing. They don't use that label
Yeah.
anymore. But I wish in Marvel and DC now I've liked it less at Marvel, like that Doom one shot and other stuff like that, where I'm just like, you didn't tell me. I thought this was the start of something, and it's a one-off alternate reality story that I don't care about now. So like but this had like a whole universe built up around it, and so I like what they're doing here. I probably won't be able to track down the old issues now, but I might be able to get issue 4 if I go back to my store. They
Yeah.
probably have a copy behind all these. So I highly recommend Batman Dark Age. I thought it was really, really cool. So the only other thing I wanted to mention was I'm sure this has been a thing for like the last 20 years or maybe a little bit less, but when I realized doing the 0 Hour, doing this book that I was just reading, the Batman Dark Age, because it's all story. There's not even house ads in it. It's just the story.
Uh-huh.
I was like, there are no comic book ads anymore. Print media is dead. Nobody's advertising in print. Like, do you have like other than again, like in a Marvel book, there'll be like 3 or 4 ads for upcoming stories. There'll be an in memoriam page, but there's no like outside advertising in comics anymore, is there? In modern comics?
No, I have this book here. Let me just see. This is
Okay.
oh, this is an older one. 2023, and it has a Guardians of the Galaxy.
But again,
Uh,
that's all
who's the
Disney.
ad?
That's all Marvel
Yeah.
advertising their own stuff in their own books. But they're not bringing in like Pop Rocks to do an ad. You know what I'm saying? There's no
I
video game ad, right?
uh, you might be right.
Yeah. We're so used to it reading comics in the 80s and 90s that that was a part of comic books.
Yeah,
And
this
now
is Star Wars, but it's still Marvel.
it's still Marvel, still Disney. Yeah. So
It's
like I
Lego.
don't think it's all synergy now in any advertising. It's just like promoting our own stuff. But I can't imagine they bring in even like a movie that isn't a movie they're producing, you know, or a streaming service that isn't their streaming service. Like nothing is getting promoted that isn't in-house in their own products. And I had not ever paid attention to how much that would have changed. It makes sense. But I was just like, wow,
You've
that's
kind of
crazy
blown
to
my
me.
mind with this. Okay, so
Yeah.
I have a DC book here from 2021.
Okay.
It's all there's ads. It's all for DC books.
Yep.
Batman,
So I'd just
Superman.
love to know if there's like a historian out
Yeah,
there
it's
that's like,
all synergy. It's
yeah, so
all
did that
ads.
change like was like 2015, that's when it changed, or was it 2008? Or you know, like when did it become a thing where it's just like, no, we don't get outside advertisers, but was that because outside advertisers are all going
They've
online
stopped.
or they're on
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever? You know, they don't advertise in comics anymore. It's
Well,
not
this is
mass market
interesting,
because they're
Adam.
not on newsstands. You know, they're not, it's only in specialty shops, so you only advertise the things that people are that already like your products are going to buy, you know?
I have
Yeah.
no other books here right now that I can check, but you are right. I didn't even realize it that they
Yeah.
were just ads for other DC things. Yeah.
Comment below if you know when this changeover took place. Go dig through your bins, dig through your, you know, your boxes and tell us what you find. But thank you everybody for checking out our review here. We'd love to get your take if you picked up some of these books as well, or the ones we didn't read. Tell us what we missed. But you can stay connected with us here on YouTube. Stay subscribed. We'll have more videos of varying sorts coming your way. But also go over to wizardscomics.com to get our full archive of over 280 episodes of our main podcast, Wizards, the podcast guide to comics, going through every issue of Wizard Magazine, the specials, special interviews with the creators of Wizard Magazine and comic book pros as well, who appeared in its pages. So you can get all those interviews on the Wizard Files. But yeah, thank you so much for checking this out. And until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.